morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Sir Meerkat, and welcome back to the Moto Meerkat channel. Now, every once in a while, the motorsport world sees an invention that claims it's going to change the game forever. Take the Tyrrell P34 six-wheeler car that won the 1976 Swedish Grand Prix, or the Brabham BT46B fan car of 1978 that incorporated a fan at the rear of the car to suck air from underneath the car to create some incredible downforce. But more recently, in 2009, we had a chap called Ben Bowlby create a race car like none we'd ever seen before. More closely resembling a spaceship than any sort of race car, but over 10 years later, you don't see any of them racing anymore. And what seemed like a groundbreaking design that would change motorsports forever has been completely forgotten about. So, what actually was the DeltaWing? How did it work? And why did it fail? This is what I'm going to be talking through today. So if you're all sitting comfortably, we'll begin. Right, so we all know this thing looks weird, but how the hell does it actually work? Well, I can't say I'm exactly the most engineering, technical, savvy bloke, so I'll hand it over to Ben Bowlby to explain for himself.
Well, it works because the amount of weight that is carried by the front axle and the distribution of the downforce that's made under the car on the front axle and the tyre capacity are all actually in harmony. They're all matched. So the specific contact patch load, the stress at the front is the same as the stress at the back. So it's like an aircraft is a 2D lift and weight has to balance. In our case, we have a third dimension, which is the tyre. So our negative lift, our mass distribution, and our tyre distribution in terms of the capacity of the tyres is all balanced. Yeah. And that's why it goes around the corner.
Right, got that? Because I'm not going to be able to explain it again. But all of that incredible engineering that Ben talked about in that clip supposedly allows the car to use half the amount of fuel that would be typically used by an LMP car. As I mentioned earlier, the initial concept for the DeltaWing was created for the 2012 IndyCar rule change, with backing from Don Panos, obviously the creator of the Champ car, and from Chip Ganassi, owner of Chip Ganassi Racing, who are the team that own the patents for the design. But as we obviously now know, the governing body would end up picking the Dallara design, which to be fair is quite stunning, but I digress. The idea was then presented to the ACO, organisers of the Le Mans 24 Hours, and the DeltaWing was allowed to race, but only as a Garage 56 entrant, which is basically the category reserved for experimental machines. So it was looking good, and the DeltaWing finally had the opportunity to race. The only problem now was it didn't really have an engine. Kind of a necessary part of a race car, but that's where our friends at Nissan decided to step in. They believed in the project and decided to become an official partner, plastering their logo all over the car and providing a 300 horsepower, 1.6 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder motor based off of the engine from a top spec Nissan Juke Nismo. Yes, the engine that powers this bug-looking thing will also power the supposed future of motorsport. Alright, now I'm really interested to see how it does. So, the team turned up with their interesting contraption to much interest at the 2012 Le Mans event, with Mario Franchitti, Michael Crum, and Satoshi Motoyama, the three drivers chosen to pilot the car. And throughout the weekend, the DeltaWing continued to impress. It qualified 29th with a time of 3 minutes 42.6 seconds, which was only about 18 seconds behind the lead car. And after the flag dropped to start the race, the drivers were doing pretty well until disaster struck. On lap 76, the Nissan was caught up in a bustle of cars looking to pass, when bang! Kazuki Nakajima's Toyota sideswipes the DeltaWing, sending it straight into the Shadow Realm, a move that Super GT would be very proud of. Obviously, concrete walls and racing cars don't exactly mix that well, and the DeltaWing would retire from the race because of the damage that it had sustained. Quite a disappointing end to a very promising first outing. The car would then get back out on track for the Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta the same year. The team would have to rebuild the DeltaWing after a crash in qualifying, but it would eventually finish the race the following day, 6 laps behind the leader. But for the 2013 season, Nissan decided enough was enough and pulled their backing from the project completely. This threw quite the spanner in the works because again, the car was left without an engine, and DeltaWing racing cars were instead able to build an engine from scratch in-house in under 106 days. That actually produced 50 horsepower more than the Nissan engine, a very impressive feat indeed. And the new car was entered into the American Le Mans series, debuting at the 12 Hours of Sebring, sporting a new American-style livery. And, as you can now see, having a roof. This was to bring the car in line with the Le Mans P1 regulations and also to protect the driver's head in case of an accident. But after being 5 seconds slower than the next car in the P1 class per lap, the DeltaWing would retire in hour 2 of the race with a terminal engine failure. Oh dear, seems like Nissan engine was actually needed. The car would still compete for the rest of the season though, piloted by Andy Meyrick and Catherine Legg, only scoring twice with a best finish of 5th place at Road Atlanta. Not particularly impressive. For the 2014 season, the DeltaWing would begin racing in the United Sports Car Championship for their inaugural season. This championship includes the 24 Hours of Daytona, and the drivers taking the wheel for that race were Meyrick, Legg, Gabby Chaves, and a certain Alexander Rossi, who'll be featuring in the next episode of the ChatterBox podcast, so make sure you subscribe down below so you don't miss out on that. This time round at the Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta, the DeltaWing team led 15 laps en route to a season-high 4th place finish. And then in 2015, the team continued racing in the USCC, but they would only finish 3 of their 9 appearances across the year, with a best finish of 6th at Road Atlanta. They again raced in the USCC in 2016, and at the Daytona 24 Hours, the team elected not to qualify due to poor conditions. Once the race started though, they were quickly moving through the field, leading a total of 29 laps before Meyrick had a very unlucky incident at the almost blind turn 1, slamming into the rear of a stationary car. Ouch. The bad luck would then follow them to Sebring, where the steering broke while running in 8th position, forcing the car to retire from the event. And after another season of poor results, the DeltaWing team were hit with worse news. They would no longer be able to race in the same class due to the changing regulations. Don Panos told the press that the team had unfinished business at the Daytona 24 Hours, and according to the organization, they would be able to race in the same class as the DPIs and LMP2s. But in November of 2016, it was confirmed that the DeltaWing would not race in the 2017 Daytona 24 Hours. And just like that, the DeltaWing that had entered the motorsport world with such a fanfare only 4 years before fizzled out of existence for good. But our story does not end there. After cutting ties with the project all the way back in 2013, Nissan actually unveiled their ZEOD RC hybrid electric Le Mans racer, as well as their Blade Glider road car concept. And as you can see, they look pretty darn similar to the DeltaWing. Don Panos felt absolutely betrayed by Nissan for doing this, as DeltaWing were also planning on bringing out their own road version of the car. And this prompted the DeltaWing group to file civil lawsuits alleging that Nissan had ripped off the intellectual property behind the DeltaWing, and to rub salt in the wound, Nissan had also poached designer Ben Bowlby to work on these pointy car projects. Double burn from Nissan there, jeez. And Nissan can't even claim ignorance. In the court documents, email evidence was given of correspondence between one Nissan employee and the then Nissan Global Motorsports Director, Darren Cox, where Darren had said, "Nissan do not own the car. We lease the car as part of an engine deal racing program. They must not find out we are considering a road car. There would be severe legal implications." The existence of the Nissan Blade Glider project obviously made it a lot harder for DeltaWing to find any partners willing to work on their version of the DeltaWing inspired road car. Because obviously, why would an investor back a smaller company's project when a larger company is doing practically the same thing with a much higher likelihood of success? It just doesn't make business sense. But the civil lawsuits were eventually resolved out of court, with both sides saying they were happy with the agreement, but I'm not sure any of them could be really happy after what had happened. And this disagreement would prove to be the final page in the DeltaWing's book, with us seeing the end of what could have been a real-life Batmobile becoming a mainstay in modern-day endurance racing. Sad to see. But there we have it. We've reached the end of our story, and what an incredible one it was. A real hero to zero story of a seriously ambitious idea that just didn't quite come to fruition quite how the team would have hoped. But if you did enjoy today's video, be sure to drop a like on it down below. I do really appreciate that. And subscribe to the Moto Meerkat channel as well, so you don't miss any of my future motorsport content or that Alexander Rossi interview. I'm gonna look so stupid if he stands me up now. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see all of you meerkats later. Goodbye, guys.